It is my distinct honor to introduce Francesca Martin. She is the Deputy Director of Keep Blue Arizona Student Coalition. She's a sophomore at ASU and she's majoring in political science. She first got interested in politics in 2022 when she worked with young people to elect Joe Biden. And tonight she's going to tell us about the efforts that she's putting out on behalf of young voters and how people like us can engage with the next generation of voters. Francesca, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Larry. Thank you everyone at LD18 for having me speak today. I'm so appreciative. I'm not in my normal setting. I hope you enjoy the view behind me. I actually happen to be in Prescott right now. Me and a lot of our team has been like really going all over the state to speak to different people. So if this was in Tucson, I would have loved to come in person, and we have been coming down pretty often to speak at a lot of the Democrat clubs. So it's really exciting. Okay, welcome to Student Power 101 with LD18 Democrats. First, I'll explain kind of how I got involved in politics. As you know, Larry was saying, I started when I was about 16. It was right during the Biden election. I was a part of an organization with some fellow colleagues called Students for Biden, AZ. We used a lot of the national resources for our statewide program and really hit the ground running when it came to everything you can do during quarantine in a political campaign. And really right after that, we realized there was something missing and that we wanted somewhere to go. And so we ended up forming Keep AZ Blue Student Coalition. We did a lot in 2022, and now in 2024, we really plan on running our own operations and really hitting those target LDs and doing a lot around the state, statewide. So really, actually, how I really got started was when I was just a child. So in this photo, you'll actually see on the left, that's my grandfather. So my mom actually is originally from New York. My whole mom's side of the family is from New York. And when my grandfather and they were living there, my grandfather was actually part of the FDNY. He's a firefighter over there. And one day as he was coming home from work, he actually stopped on the side of a metal bridge to help two people in a car fire. And he ended up actually getting them out and saving their lives. And they ran off, and he was left with second and third degree burns over 50% of his body. Someone actually that was coming home had to bring him to the hospital. He wasn't helped by the people he saved. And so really the city looked at that and said, you're not going to get your deserved benefits. You're not going to get your hospital bills paid for. You're not going to get a roof over your head, especially when he was the sole person providing income for my family. And my grandmother just had 3 kids. So really it wasn't until the union, the International Association of Firefighters, stepped in and really helped my family stay in the middle class. And I think that's something that will resonate with me for the rest of my life. I've been told really the importance of union values my whole life. And so then later on, my uncle actually became president of AFSCME Local 2960, and my mom became a CWA steward, just because of, the union values that they were instilled with, and then now it's kind of trickled down. But I say this because every young person has that really important story that directly affects their lives, whether they think it's political, whether they think it might not be. Really, every young person has been impacted by politics, whether they know it or not. And I think the really big thing that our organization attempts to do is kind of connect that issue or impact that they've been impacted by, and then a candidate on the ballot that might actually improve those issues. So their values and then the candidate on their ballot. So Keep Arizona Blue Student Coalition, our main goals are expanding the youth electorate and raising the next generation of campaign leaders. So in this photo, actually, you'll see Marcus Cenaceros. He's actually the youngest elected official in the state. He actually co-founded our organization with us, but when he made the decision to run for school board in West Phoenix at only 17, we decided that we would help him, give him that backing, and really help him become the youngest elected official in the state now. So, because every young person, I think, kind of feels lost in this political field. When we talk about getting into politics, it's really foreign to a lot of young people. And so it's super important that we're really giving people the tools necessary to navigate the political world at such a young age. So I know LD18 isn't in our target LD list, and I know that there's been so much work put in by LD18. So this actually we came up with the ADLCC 2, 4, 9, 13, 16, 17, and 23. But we do plan on, we're a statewide organization, so we really do planning on hitting all the LDs and really getting people out in LD18 as well, and doing a lot of work here too. These are just some flippable ones so that we can hopefully flip our legislature in the year 24 to a Democratic majority. So a lot of the ways that Keep AZ Blue has done this in the past, and then also plans to expand our capacity in 2024, is a lot of voter registration. And we also know, and that means hitting our main 3 colleges and then a lot of the community colleges statewide. But we also know that it doesn't just stop at voter registration. In 2020, during the presidential election in Arizona, there were 250,000 young people who were registered to vote and didn't end up voting. And so that's a huge gap that it's really essential that we close when we're only winning by margins such as 280, like Chris Mays's. Student roundtables are really important. In that photo, actually, you'll see Patti Serrano. She's the first Latina elected to that school board. And she really is the only candidate that listened to students in her district. And we put that roundtable together for her so she could listen to a really diverse community of students who focused on different issues in the Chandler Unified School District. And then also we have a pretty big field plan for 2024 when it comes to canvassing and phone banking and really targeting young people when we're doing those field operations. Social media, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and we all have a different digital strategy for those 3 platforms because we know that not all our audiences are the same and not all social media is created the same. And then we also work with local partners as well to kind of do social media trainings, which is super important for people too. We do community events, that really target young people, and then candidate workshops, whether that be for young candidates or even candidates that are farthest away from that youth voting block that still want a student perspective and really value what issues young people care about. So this is 2022, the midterm Arizona voter turnout. These are shocking numbers, 18 through 24, just under 25%. And that's really because we see that campaigns will hit that older, not old though, 65 plus independent voting block, when we already know, if you want to go to the next slide, that young people largely come out for Democrats. There is no persuasion canvassing when it comes to really investing in that youth vote. So it's super important. And we really put an emphasis when we're doing our field operations, when we're targeting our digital strategy, and really doing a lot to getting young people out to vote. We're really focusing on that because we know there's a lot of people that focus on really getting maybe more Republicans to vote Democrat, but we know that young people really care about the issues that Democrats care about. So this is a case study done at the University of Arizona. Forks up, by the way. I go to ASU, but I know there's probably a lot of U of A alum. So eligible student voters, there was about 40,000 eligible student voters. And this is a really concentrated area of young people, of students. So it's super important that we're really hitting those universities where we can to really not just register and really get them out to vote. And only 14,000 students voted. That was 35% turnout. And that's really kind of a missed opportunity we see, and really somewhere that could have been hit a lot harder when you have all these young people in such a small area. So it's super important that we're doing the work to get students out in all elections, especially as this one was kind of the blue wave. It was right after Trump. So again, this just shows how small of margins we're winning by in Arizona. Biden only won by such a small amount. Katie Hobbs only won by such a small amount. And the thing is we're not tapping those young voters to come out to vote. So we know that when we do, Biden, Katie Hobbs will be winning by much, much larger margins since they're already heavily Democratic. And they really care about those candidates. They might just not be that interested. And so it's really about piquing that interest, creating hype around the word Democrat and exciting people about our candidates, I think is super important. And that's why I think really all campaigns should be focusing on kind of getting those young people and, hyping up what they're doing to young people. And I think that's really where we step in to do that. This is Turning Point USA. This is really the organization that's been going into all of our colleges, schools, high schools, and really spreading their conservative rhetoric. Which we know is really harmful to a lot of students too. It's not just conservatism, it's really terrible things that they espouse a lot of the time. Yet Republicans know that they have such little youth vote, and that's why they make critical investments into it. Turning Point USA got $55 million in the year, and they're a nationwide organization, but they're actually headquartered in Phoenix. And they're actually about to host their 3-4 day long America Fest. And that gets young people excited about, if they're Republicans, they're going to be excited that they get to go to this 4-day long forum with all these people gathered around to talk about not the best things, I would say. And that's because they're truly investing into our youth vote. And that's why our organization has always and continues not only to promise to make critical investments into the young voters, but to encourage people to really make critical investments into the youth vote. We know the Republicans are doing it, and we're just not seeing it as much on the Democrat side. And so that's kind of where we come in. We're really looking to make critical investments in the year 2024 to combat a lot of the rhetoric that Turning Point USA has been spreading. There's many ways to get involved with our organization. We may be a student coalition, but we need all the help we can get, whether that's any size of a contribution. We actually are about to hit the next quarter in a week. We're $1,500 away from our goal, and I think there's 90 participants. If all 90 people were to donate like $10, we'd hit our goal pretty quick. So really, it means a lot to us. And we're also, we have postcard writing campaigns that really help us out. And then really even just interacting with us on social media. It's at Keep AZ Blue on everything. And then, our website will have that all too. And then if you have any additional questions that I won't be able to answer, please email us.
How is an LD designated as a target? You may have answered this, but
No. Yeah. So, we just worked really heavily with the ADLCC to figure out really what the best chance that we would get at flipping a district. But again, as I said, we're statewide, we plan to work in every district. And that's really as much as our capacity allows us to. So, our targets, we want to put an emphasis on, but we know that there's work that needs to be done across the state.
Okay, great. And I just wanted to point out to everybody that Bradley put a link to sign up for your newsletter in the chat. Another question from Gail Camaras. How do we get young voters excited about voting for an octogenarian president?
Octogenarian. Oh, okay. So an older president.
Yeah.
I think actually, in my personal opinion, I think Biden's been doing a really good job at kind of creating that hype, especially utilizing the whole dark Brandon thing. I know me and my team all got our dark Brandon mugs, but it really is kind of for the instance that Larry brought up today. It was so, I think, the union movement is growing with young people. And when young people see that, they get really excited. So in addition to a lot of the social media hype that's been created around him, and, being able, like all these young Republicans, they get to meme about Donald Trump. So I think it's really important that we get to, have fun with the president. It's not so serious, but the issues we care about are serious. And we see that when we see Biden go with the striking workers today. And so I think even just as young people are, ramping up that union labor movement and Biden's coming out, I think that's going to be something that also creates a huge impact.
That's great. Okay. So another question from Maria Hidalgo. In 2018, those 38,000 students at ASU, were they registered to vote in Arizona?
I believe so. Yeah. Because it would have had to been eligible. So yes.
Okay, let's see. And Bradley also put in a link to donate. He's doing a good job there. And does a DNC have a comparable effort to reach our younger voters? Do you know?
I don't know what the DNC plans are, but I know that we do. That's our biggest mission. If there is in any way that we see a lack in any sort of way of reaching out to young people, that's really our main goal. So
okay,
that's what we're doing.
And then let's see, is there a progressive equivalent of Turning Point USA?
The progressive equivalent to Turning Point USA would be us, or what we've been trying to build for the past few years. Now, Turning Point USA, they invest so much into their youth Republican vote. So that's really what we're trying to combat by having our own operations in 2024 and really getting young people out.
Jane Lesser wants to understand the young voter. What excites them and why do they register and not vote?
So a lot of the times young people, I'll kind of answer the first one. What gets people excited is exciting candidates. And I think that's something that we really try to do. We actually have kind of a new almost program that we run on our social media by our amazing digital director, Claire. She actually runs a program called Coffee with Cabs Gun. So she gets candidates on, she does a Zoom with them and she asks them questions. She asks them questions while they enjoy a cup of coffee together. And I think it's really important that we kind of look at our legislators, our politicians, political candidates, really from the bottom of the top of the ballot as accessible. So I think that's really important to young people, is that accessibility, being able to just talk to your legislator. We tell our young people, like, if a legislator won't meet with you for 10 minutes and you're going out in 120-degree heat, that's a little, like they should be able to like reach out to those young people. And that's why we've already always said that it's important to prioritize young people. And so we try to bridge that gap. And then I think to answer the second part, the reason a lot of people register, they'll put in the work into registering, and then they don't vote just because they have a lot going on. And the thing is, they don't see the candidates as, that's why our amendments always are, our propositions always tend to do a lot better with young people compared to candidates, because they see an issue, right? The legalization of marijuana, the new abortion access amendment that's coming up. That's going to be super critical, and I think is going to get lots and lots of young people out to vote. And a really important thing, though, is that we're kind of showing those candidates, and really when they look at the candidate, my hope is that they see the issues that they care about. So when, we put out digital content too, when we put out ads, when we do all that type of stuff, we really put out what those candidates mostly care about to hopefully connect those dots. So it makes it easier to fill out the ballot. So we don't have chapters. We're really just a statewide organization, mainly operations based. When people want to get more involved with us, we really just kind of take their skills from their own skill set and then apply it to the political field. However, we don't have chapters at different schools. It's mainly our 5 executive board members working tirelessly every day to really run huge operations.
Do you have additional workers besides the 5 of you?
Yeah, I mean, we have like a much larger board. Those, yeah, that's why it's like if they want to come on and take on a bigger role. Yeah.
And then are you working with high school students? CJ Jones asks if you've considered working with the Civic Center to register high school students.
Yeah, so we do actually work with high schools when it comes to different high school democratic clubs. Because we're so partisan, we wouldn't be able to work with the Civic Center.
How can LD18 support you on getting out the youth vote? Obviously donating, but what else can we do?
Definitely with the postcard writings, boosting us on social media. We actually do plan to have a fundraiser down in Tucson soon. So anyone who wants to come and join us and, meet our team and everything like that, it would be super exciting. So we're super excited to have that going on.
Then there's a whole bunch of people who have donated. So
thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Please, if anyone has anything else, please don't hesitate to email either Jacob or I.
Oh, I have one more. Have voting rates increased in young people in recent years? I think the answer is yes, isn't it?
So the answer is yes when it comes to 2018. But we did notice a 1% drop off between midterms of the 2018 midterm and the 2022 midterm. And you might think, oh, that's like not the biggest deal. That's, only 1%. But again, like when we're losing margins by 280 votes, like we can't afford to lose that 1%. So that's why we're always kind of keeping the momentum going with really getting Arizona blue.
Awesome. And I have another question. Andrew asks, which would be more important to the youth vote, policy discussions or being a person one can enjoy being with?
I think a mix of both. I mean, really when young people look at candidates, they really want to find an exciting candidate and then also make sure that that exciting candidate has those same values. And we'll fight for those values of young people.
Well, thank you, Francesca. That was really an impressive presentation, and we do want to support you, and I want to salute Lisa, Lori, Gail, Nancy, Maggie, Barbara, Margaret, Janice, Maria, Mary, Susan, Barbara, and Ricky, and me. We all donate for you right now, and that shows you where our hearts are coming from. So more power to you, Francesca.
Thank you to everyone who donated. It's really appreciated.